The single biggest construction project in the entire world is now taking shape. This is Saudi Arabia's The Line. Ever since it was announced back in 2021, many questioned whether something this massive could actually be built. A city that's 500 meters tall and stretches 170 kilometers across the desert. Then, when reports came out last year that the project was being dramatically scaled down, even more people started to doubt its future. But the latest drone and satellite images of the site reveal that construction is still very much underway. So what exactly have they built so far? And is the project still on track to finish by 2030? Hey, I'm your host Regis, and get ready, because today we'll be taking a look at the latest updates on The Line. Most of you are probably already familiar with The Line. We've already made a ton of videos about it. But if for some reason you're not, here's a very quick recap. The Line is arguably the biggest and most ambitious project in the entire world. A massive linear city that's planned to be 500 meters tall and stretch a total of 170 kilometers across the Saudi desert. The idea? To completely reimagine how we build and design our cities. It will have no cars, no roads, and will be entirely powered by renewable energy. Once completed, the city will be home to as many as 10 million people. On the positive side, this new approach to city planning could lead to cleaner, more efficient, and more sustainable urban systems. But on the other hand, it's also incredibly controversial, and in some people's eyes, maybe even dystopian, depending on how you look at it. The Line is part of NEOM, an even bigger megaproject that's made headlines all around the world for its futuristic and sometimes downright insane plans. It includes things like a floating port city, a winter resort in the desert, and an entire coastal region with futuristic-looking tourist destinations. But the Line is by far the centerpiece of this entire thing. It's the one that's been getting all the global attention, whether for the better or for the worse. When the project was first announced back in 2021, it sounded almost too insane to be real.
اليوم بصفتي رئيس مجلس إدارة نيوم نقدم لكم The Line مدينة مليونية بطول 170 كيلو.
And to be honest, even today it still sounds just as crazy as it did 4 years ago. Many people thought that The Line would never go beyond the viral renders and videos that were circulating online. But by October 2022, newly released drone footage revealed that the 170-kilometer linear city had actually begun construction. Massive excavation works were already underway, carving out a wide trench through the desert where the foundations of The Line would eventually be built. What's even more surprising is that satellite images seemed to suggest that they were actually digging the full 170 kilometers from the very beginning. The drone footage also revealed fleets of construction vehicles, staging areas, and entire new communities being built up along the planned route. These developments were the first real signs that Saudi Arabia was serious about turning their bold vision into a reality. But by 2024, rumors started to circulate that the scale of The Line was being dramatically cut down. We even reported on this development in our update video on The Line last year. The main reason that things got scaled down so much? Well, they simply didn't have the money for it. But now, a year after our most recent update video, there have been plenty of new developments surrounding this controversial project. So, what's actually happening to The Line? And is the project still alive? We'll take a look at that in just a second. But first, we want to quickly thank CyberGhost VPN for making this video possible. You probably already know that connecting to public Wi-Fi in a restaurant, hotel, or airport makes you fear that someone could steal your information. And honestly, that fear's pretty realistic. Your internet service provider, public Wi-Fi, or even websites can all track exactly what you do online. Well, here's the solution. CyberGhost VPN, one of the best VPN services on the market that encrypts all of your information and hides your IP address so you can browse the internet safely while keeping you completely anonymous. They have over 38 million users worldwide and a near perfect score on Trustpilot. CyberGhost VPN is literally one of the most recommended services on the market. On top of that, you can use CyberGhost VPN on up to 7 devices at the same time and share it with your family and friends. Plus, CyberGhost VPN lets you unblock exclusive content from platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and more in other countries. And if you're still not sure, CyberGhost offers a 45-day money-back guarantee. Check them out at cyberghostvpn.com/megabuilds for 84% off and 4 months for free, and start browsing safely. Thanks again to CyberGhost VPN for sponsoring, and now let's take a closer look at what's actually going on with the line. One major development to the line's construction that happened after we published our video last year was the sudden departure of NEOM's longtime CEO. According to an article by the Wall Street Journal, the reason for this abrupt exit is unknown. NEOM itself also didn't give any explanation for the sudden change. Around this time, 2 other senior roles within the project were also suddenly replaced without a clear explanation to the public. Now, this is only speculation on our part, but these unexpected changes probably had something to do with the project's downscaling. At this point, most of NEOM was already way over budget and way behind schedule. Saudi Arabia had to make some big changes if they wanted any hope of ever completing their megaprojects. Because of this, they decided to replace the old CEO with someone who manages the fund that's financing the whole NEOM megaproject. Someone who was already intimately familiar with the financial side of the project. This refocusing is likely what led to the downsizing of the line. NEOM officials probably realized that the original plans were just way too expensive and unrealistic. Though they later clarified the change by saying that this was actually their plan all along. According to them, the plan was always to build the line module by module over the course of many decades. And to be fair, there's probably at least some truth to that statement. It's just financially and logistically impossible to build the entire 170-kilometer version of the line by 2030. And its creators probably already knew that from the very beginning. It was evident that despite the public investment fund having very deep pockets, it still wasn't enough to finish the line and the rest of NEOM as it was originally planned. And frankly, it probably never would have, as cost estimates to build the whole of NEOM in its end state have now skyrocketed to $8.8 trillion. Yep, you heard that right, $8.8 trillion with a T. Let the number sink in for a little bit. That's more than 8 times the entire GDP of Saudi Arabia. I think it's pretty safe to say that the original plans for the line will probably not be completed anytime soon. But what about the mini line that we talked about last year? What's the current progress on that? Well, we previously theorized in our last video that the mini line could be built somewhere around this area of Saudi Arabia, known as Gayal. We noticed that there was a part of the excavation site that looked significantly deeper than the rest of the surrounding areas. And interestingly, its length almost perfectly matched that of the supposed length of the mini line. After careful analysis of various drone footage and animations of the construction site, we can now confirm that this is in fact the location for the first phase of the line. The first phase will include the so-called Hidden Marina, as well as the NEOM Stadium, which will be one of the venues for the 2034 FIFA World Cup. Phase 1 will include 3 modules that are at least 800 meters long and 500 meters tall. I know this is supposed to be the scaled down version, but even at this size, the project is still pretty crazy. Unlike we previously theorized, the Hidden Marina will not be located by the Gulf of Aqaba. Instead, it'll actually be built near the Gayal area we mentioned earlier, and it will be completely man-made. Excavation work on this part of the line has actually been underway since 2023. Based on the satellite images that we can see today, the site is filled with fleets of trucks, which are all busy with transporting rocks, sand, and dirt away from the excavation sites. Zooming out, we can even make out what seems to be the artificial waterway of the marina that would eventually lead out into the coast. Additionally, drone footage of the site taken back in April 2025 shows us a much closer look of what's happening in each of the 3 modules of the first phase of the line. Module 45 seems to be well underway, with concrete works having already begun on the site. Piling machines already dot the whole area, which indicates that excavation on this module has already reached a significant milestone. Module 46 has seen the most amount of work, as it's supposed to be the part of the line where the Hidden Marina would cut right through the entire structure. This is also where the NEOM Stadium will be built, about 350 meters above the ground. Think about that for a second. A World Cup venue built 350 meters up in the air inside of a skyscraper. Calling it insane kind of feels like an understatement. The world's largest piling exercise is also being done right here, as more than 16,000 individual piles will be placed just for this first phase of the line alone. For context, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai only required 192 piles in total to be built. Finally, Module 47 seems to be the least advanced of the three, with excavation work on the site still in an earlier stage of development. Aside from the three main modules, another notable development on the construction site is the dewatering setup, a massive system of pumps, channels, reservoir, and pipes that are designed to keep groundwater out of the excavation trench before work on the foundations themselves could begin. This whole system can also be seen clearly on Google Maps, where you can perfectly trace how water is transported from the excavation site all the way to the Red Sea. The line's COO also shared with the public various images taken back in April, showing us the progress on the line as well as different parts of Neom. One of these images shows us a long concrete trench with pipes seemingly going right through the middle. Some online sources claimed that the image showed the beginning of the concrete works on the foundations of the line itself. But upon further inspection, and according to the caption of the post it came from, these are actually the water pipes used for the dewatering system on site. A different set of images shows us progress on Neom's floating port city, Oxagon. Its harbor is now beginning to take shape, and the surrounding infrastructure for the port itself has also begun construction. Other images shared include different angles of the construction site, the nearby wind farm, and a brand new camp for workers located just to the south of the line. Now that we've seen all the latest progress, what does all of this mean for the future of the line? One thing we can be very certain about is that the original vision of a 170-kilometer linear city by 2030 is now fully out of the question. Saudi Arabia is still moving forward with the line, but on a much smaller and realistic scale. Well, at least relatively speaking. Even this mini line is still very much an engineering challenge, the likes of which the world has never seen before. We're still talking about a 500-meter tall structure that's going to be built continuously for more than 2 kilometers. Just like we said in last year's video, that's like building 2 rows of 40 One World Trade Centers side by side. So even if it's only 2% of the original vision, this first phase is still going to take a ton of money and effort to complete. Some experts have already pointed out that this scaled down version alone could still end up costing up to $370 billion just for the first phase, just for 2.4 kilometers. But if against all odds, Saudi Arabia actually pulls this off, there's still one huge problem they'll have to solve. How the hell will they convince 300,000 people to actually move to the line? And if for some reason they actually manage to do that, only then could we see a real chance of the rest of the line ever being built. So, what do you think? Will they manage to build the mini line, and will we ever get to see the whole 170-kilometer long line? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you want to try out CyberGhost VPN, use our link for 84% off and 4 months for free, as well as 45 days money back guaranteed. Enjoy having full access to blocked content on the internet while browsing safely. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.